I have listened to Honorable Edem Agbana on his attempt that he's struggling to undermine the role that GDP plays. In simple economics 101 will tell you GDP is the overall indicator. And that is why when analysts are analyzing economic statements and analyzing performances of government, GDP growth is one major indicator, because around it, every other thing revolves, including your debt to GDP ratio. Yesterday, one of the NDC members of parliament was debating and introduced another indicator, inflation to GDP ratio, and threw the whole chamber into laughter. But that goes to show how NDC has no regard whatsoever for GDP. GDP is paramount. It's the extent to which your economy is growing. It's the extent to which your economy is expanding. It speaks a lot about the well-being of your economy. And so when NDC left it at 218 billion cedis, 218.5 billion cedis in 2016, we took over because they never thought that GDP is one that is important. We added $1 trillion to it. And so by the statistics put out by Ghana Statistical Services, as of end year 2024, our economy had grown from 218.5 billion cedis in 2016 to 1.2 trillion. And that is what happens when people who think that GDP matters to the economy take over. Now, end year GDP growth 5.7%. And it's so significant, considering the fact that we had been hit so bad with COVID, we had been hit with Russia-Ukraine invasion, we had been hit with major external, hardships that, derailed a lot of the efforts that we had put in, defying the consistent, 6.8 to 7.3 growth rates that had characterized the first 3 years of President Akufo-Addo's tenure from 2017, 2018, and 2019, the pre-COVID period. Just when we're recovering, we have indicated to you that 5.7% is the growth rate. We didn't put this out. GSS put this out. And when this sterling indicator was put forth, in the attempt of the NDC to hurriedly wash it away, the finance minister quickly came and said, all the GDP growth rate is attributable to Galamsey. And now Adam is also speaking from the same hymn book. And then Ghana Statistical Services come, meet Parliament, make presentation, and this morning been gracious enough to repeat the words of Ghana Statistical Services. And they say that in ranking the significant contributors to the 5.7% growth rate, principal among them is digitalization, the services sector. And so anyone who campaigned that digitalization is not relevant to our economic pursuits, and that is not digital stuff that we are going to eat, and it's not bread and butter matter, the understanding of economics is like 30 years, 20 years ago. They have put forth digitalization as a major driver of growth. And that is what my friends on the other side must be minded, that in the 21st century, in the fourth industrial revolution, however brilliant your initiatives is, if you downplay the role of digitalization in your economy, you're going to lose out big time. Then construction industries contribution was also recognized. Then the mining sector's contribution was also recognized, agric and so forth and so on. So this is not NPP press conference. This is Ghana Statistical Services putting it out there and indicating what's accounting for our growth. So an economy that was criminally mismanaged definitely could not have added a trillion to our GDP. An economy that was criminally mismanaged could not have let gross international reserve of $8.9 billion, equivalent to 4 months of import cover. But before I even come to that, what targets of growth rate did NDC set? So abysmal. Here, Honorable Edem is talking about Deloitte's prediction of how growth rate was supposed to be, regardless whoever took over in 2017.
He that it was EIA.
Yes,
Economic Intelligence Unit.
Yeah. Deloitte and other similar groups also made similar
predictions. For projections.
And that whoever takes over should be able to take it. And thank God we were able to take it there. So we have indicated. Fine. Now, what is the prediction of Deloitte and such similar institutions in the case of 2025 growth rate projection? They have projected that minimum 8%. So going by his analogy, regardless whoever takes over, the minimum they should be able to do, according to all those relevant agencies, including Deloitte's prediction, by his analogy, is 8%. What was the target NDC set? Honorable Ato Forson and President Mahama said 4.4%, abysmal 4.4%, taking 5.7% growth rate backward to 4.4%. So that tells you a lot about the handlers of the economy now. Now, gross international reserve, you took it from $8.9 billion, equivalent to 4-month import cover. Come and from us, a government that you claim we criminally mismanage the economy. So you, who is coming to creditably manage the economy, give us superior targets. You reduced our outturn of 4 months import cover in gross international reserve to 3 months, paltry 3 months import cover as your target for 2025. Again, trade surplus. We took over trade surplus in the negative deficit, minus $1.8 billion in 2017. Now we left office, the economy that was criminally mismanaged, in addition to 4 months of import cover, which they are creditably going to manage and take it backwards to 3 months import cover, we left a trade surplus of $3.4 billion. Be that as it may, this is the economy that was able to create jobs and maintain jobs, did not embark on mass termination of public sector workers. This was the economy, however you have words to describe it, was able to ensure that jobs that were created were sustained. Over 2.1 million jobs that were created were sustained. And as a matter of record, public sector workers consistently enjoyed in some years 30% pay rise, in some years 24%, even as recent as 25% pay rise. You, coming to creditably manage the economy, you come in, the first thing you do is to take it from the 25% pay rise that we give to public sector workers to a paltry 10%. And yet, they had some sycophantic people to clap for them, even among the trade union, even among the organized labor. They had some people who clapped for them and said, oh, 10% is even in excess. Same people who threatened strike against 30% pay rise. The same people who described 30% pay rise under President Akufo-Addo as insufficient. And so that is the kind of system we are running. Again, when nobody pushed them, but they themselves came and promised women that we're going to set up the Women Development Bank to ensure that every woman gets what they need to be able to get their businesses running. Women-led SMEs will be supported. We want to ensure that if you are running any tabletop, whatever job, if you're a woman, we'll give you loans, we'll give you credit, we'll give you capital. And so we're going to set up. And women, some section of the women were excited. They were part of the 6.3 million voters who voted for President Mahama. And only for them to turn out to have been deceived. 419. And women across the country are utterly disappointed in the budget that was read and have all kinds of words to call it. We didn't ask you for anything. You came and promised us a bank, not just a commercial bank, not a microfinance, not a cooperative union, not any kind of bank, a development bank. And you think that Serbia, they do not know the capital requirements of setting up development banks. Our women know much better. Our Makola women, Kejetia women, Edum women, Kotokraba women, Sakasaka, all the market, popular markets that you can, Nima market, every Yankumase market, they know better. At least they watch TV. Their children also tell them. They know that the minimum capital requirement you need to set up even an ordinary bank is 400 million cedis in this country. And for a development bank, 800 million cedis. So that was the expectation, that minimum 800 million cedis should find expression in the first budget of President Mahama to give credence to the promise of setting women up to thrive. Because when women thrive, society rejoices and households are excited. Only for you to introduce a... I thought initially at the first sight of the figure, I thought it was 1 0 had been missing. Or perhaps the point was what had come before where it was supposed to be. I thought I was seeing 518 million cedis. Only for the finance minister to say, no, it's not 518 million cedis. It is 51.8 million cedis. What? What are you going to do with that? And they call it seed money. So if you want to raise 800 million minimum capital within 4 years, and you start with a seed of 51 that is like less than 10%. So when are you going to be able to gather your seed to be able to set up a bank to disburse to the women? So it goes to suggest, I did a math. If you are even just giving out 5,000 cedis to each woman organizer in NDC, only 10,000 will benefit. Only 10,000 women organizers in NDC or branch women organizers in NDC will benefit. Only 10,000. Not even all of them will benefit. If they even decide to share it among their own women organizers, many would not even get some by their 51.8 million. So it is woefully, who is forcing you? It is woefully a dangerous insult, an unpardonable error, which must be corrected by the next budget, the mid-year budget. I expect a correction of this unpardonable error, and that the point must be rounded up properly. It must be minimum at least 518 million. It's a good seed money. Then by the next year's budget, you top it up with about another 500 million. The women are good to go and they will be properly set up. So he deceived the women in that respect.